All right, I think we are live. Guys, leave a 1 down into the building. If you guys can hear and or see us, YouTube is changing things on us, so things look a lot different. So let us know if you guys can see us. Leave a 1 down into the building. Let's get that out the way first, and then we're going to get this conversation started.
Yeah, we're running blind. We don't know who's here. We don't know how many of y'all are here. Thanks for the love, Trevor.
Guys, let me know if you guys can hear and see us.
I see Greg says 1.
All right.
Greg's been listening.
All right, dope. All right, guys. Let's get more, because I feel like Greg just drops 1s down in there from time to time. Oh, okay. All right, we got some extra 1s down a bit. So I'm gonna take this off. All right, we're running blind. Hopefully, we're running blind. Okay, guys, just real quick again. So YouTube is changing shit on the back end. So like it's I'm not seeing the same amount of things that I normally would be able to see who's kind of in here and what have you. Shout out to everybody that's coming down into the building. Shout out to Trevor. I see you. Thank you so much, bro, for the $2 super chat. A guest that actually answers questions directly. Man.
Me?
Looks like you got some fans over here, Lynn.
Thank you, Trevor.
How does that make you feel?
Feels great. Just trying my best.
Listen, we gotta talk about this. We gotta talk about the topic as you guys see it.
It's saucy.
Should men provide? Listen, we had a community chat post I put up a few days ago, and it went somewhere. I had no idea that it was going to go. So I think that we need to have a conversation about it.
A red cup conversation. A red cup talk.
Cheers. Shout out to everybody down into the building. Welcome back one more again. One more red cup talk. How was your week this week? Was your week all right?
It was all right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been a lot of stuff this week. I think the days are starting to blend together. As you know, I like to travel a lot, and so this is the longest I've been grounded since like 2009, and the longest I haven't been somewhere outside of where I live in terms of like the city.
Yeah.
Since like 2006. So it's I'm aging myself, but I'm learning to adapt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's all about adaptation. Like, I'm so happy that I started this YouTube stuff so many years ago, so that now during the pandemic I have an outlet that's not like completely time wasted and You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, and then I get to build a platform that I can talk to people that normally wouldn't have access to the type of knowledge and information and topics that we talk about.
Yeah.
So it's really dope to be able to do that. But, you know, when opportunity meets preparation, you set it up for success.
There's a poet and an artist. What's up, Greg? I see you.
Say, you were doing your alphabets earlier, and you got no, you weren't doing your alphabets. You said Z. I was like, what the hell?
Yeah, I did say Z. I said, oh, XYZ, and he was like, sorry, this is the first time the word Z has been spoken in this home.
For folks that don't know what she's talking about, they don't say Z. in Canada, they don't say Z, they say Z and shit. I think everywhere else in the world, it's Z, right?
Yeah.
In the English language?
Yes.
It's Z.
So really, it's
XYZ.
Nobody else says Z.
Yeah, but like this is why Americans are so much better than everybody. Yeah, because
you can't even say that with a straight face.
You hear XYZ and it just rolls. It just rolls off the tongue. XYZ. Like, that shit is so trash. No? You don't think so? Listen, we're the innovators. We are the innovators. Sorry, you know. Proud to be an American.
Also, when we say sorry, it's usually not actually an apology.
It's like hello for y'all.
No, it's more like, oh, I'm sorry you bumped into me, not I'm sorry that, I bumped into you. Or I'm sorry you were in my way.
Listen, I love Canada. Every time I go up there, I just feel like, damn, why can't people in America be this nice? Like, that's how I feel when I'm just like, god damn, everyone's so goddamn nice. Look at Hex. Shout out to XGP. She smiles too much. I don't like it. See, Americans don't like we don't understand it as much. You know what I'm saying? Unless like you're in the Midwest somewhere, like there's generally happy people in the Midwest and shit like that. But
There's
like
nice people in the Midwest.
in the South, yeah, and shit. But
There's
like
nice
on the
people in
East
Midwest.
Coast, always smiling people, they rub you the wrong way. You feel like they're
Yeah,
plotting something.
I don't smile on the East Coast.
You feel like they're plotting. They're plotting something against your
Yeah,
life.
100%.
You know?
100%.
Shout out everybody. I appreciate you guys for joining. Listen, we got 100 people in here right now. I don't know how many likes that we have because YouTube just wants to change shit out of nowhere.
Oh, no.
But drop a like on the video. We'll wholeheartedly appreciate that. Also, too, my G's, we are not going for 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, whatever hours that we've done before. We're not doing that today, okay? Lynn's over here right now. She wants to give her perspective, her diverse, internationally, critically acclaimed diagnosis and opinions. We're going to bring that to you guys today for about an hour. And then we got shit to do.
Actually, I just learned something this week. Been spending a lot of time learning about things. There's a guy who heads up diversity at NYU, and he said something interesting. He said, diversity, one person is not diverse, so my one opinion is not diverse. Diversity only exists if there's more than one person.
Yeah.
So it only becomes diverse when it's not just my one opinion.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. But we have a channel full of people with a lot of like-minded ideas.
That's
so
true.
bring it up on here, and they
Here
get to
with the
see
heterogeneity.
diversity. You understand me?
Yeah.
Anyway, so let's get started over here in a quick segment, guys. But listen, before we get in it, let me also talk about some of the developments on the channel. So I don't know if you guys have seen, I've hit over 22,000 subscribers. So thank you to all of y'all that have joined. And I appreciate you guys for continuing to like the video, continuing to send people your the videos that I've been doing, sharing. I appreciate it 100. There's been over 3,000 subscribers over the past 30 days, so I appreciate that wholeheartedly. Let's get back down into the some of the things that videos. This is usually what I do. I don't know if you know this. I usually do this as people are coming into the chat room.
Okay.
A lot of movement this week. Okay, a lot of movement, guys. If you haven't seen some of the videos, men should not be forced to be fathers if women are not forced to be mothers. 21,000 views. What you think about that, real quick?
But women are forced to be mothers.
Not here.
In America?
What?
100%.
There's some states that do outlaw abortion, but most do not. So
The ones that do not make it incredibly inaccessible to get an abortion.
okay. So, but you still have a choice.
Not really. They make it incredibly inaccessible to get an abortion, and therefore, like, you therefore just don't end up getting one because you can't.
How do they make it inaccessible?
Ohio is one of them.
That's new news to me.
Yeah.
Wait. So how do they make it inaccessible?
I feel like this is going to be a whole other stream.
No. I need to know because I think that this is good information.
Yeah, they put restrictions on up until what point you can get one, and then up until at what point you're allowed to go get one. So there's like a very short time window.
So what's the time window?
I can't remember.
So, but there's a choice, is what I'm saying. There's
also, if you're 16 or something, there's a certain age where like you have to have parental consent. Some people just can't get that.
But what I'm saying is that there's a choice. So certain people can't get it at 16, but generally you have a choice, whereas men do not. The man's opinion about whether to keep or abort is not considered at all.
I've never been put in that position.
Okay.
But of the people I know who have had them,
Yes.
generally they have made it their own choice.
Right, but of the people that have had one and they had the opportunity to make it their own choice.
Yeah, they've
Those
had
were
the
women.
privilege of being able to make that choice.
Okay, but the
there
privilege.
are many other women who don't, and women in America, certain parts of America have that choice. Many women do not. Sometimes you can't afford it.
So. Okay.
And so, for example, if you have to afford between the healthcare costs and between putting food on your table, like, or rent or whatever else it is. Great point, Malcolm. A lot of women are societally shamed for giving their kid up, or their fetus, or children in general. There are many women in other parts of the world who don't have that choice. Period.
Yeah, but in America, so it's talking about in America, the difference between that a man doesn't have a choice at all. From a moral perspective is what we're talking about. We're not talking about from a legal perspective, which I think the difference in this dynamic in the conversation.
Yeah.
From a moral perspective, just from a idea that both are in the act, but only one has the option if she meets these prerequisites that you're bringing up that I didn't know about. But the other person who partook in it doesn't have an option at all. That's what that video was about.
I see. I didn't watch the video.
Okay. But we'll talk about it in another video.
Yeah.
I think that it's.
I feel like that's a whole other video, and I think has opportunity for us to both educate ourselves.
Yeah. Before we go deep on it, because
Shout out to Jordan.
Because I think that it's very important when we talk about these things, because even as I brought it up, like I think like people get tense when I talk about it from a moral perspective.
Yeah.
Because typically it is normal to not consider a man's opinion for that decision, and I get it because it's a woman's body. I get it. I 100% get it. But I think like I've had situations in my life where the man wanted her to have the kid, but she did not.
Right.
So she did not, and she went through the avenues to not.
Yeah.
But that could be at the point of conception. That could be his kid as well.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Well, no, it is his kid as well.
Well,
now, at the point of conception, before the child is born, it's not a child, right? It's still a fetus.
No, I agree. But so I was saying, if he's the father, he doesn't know.
Yeah, he doesn't know. She doesn't know either.
Yeah. But she knows that she's the mother.
Right.
Because it's in her body.
And there's no way for certain on her part that he will continue to be there.
Okay. This is why I think it's important, just like we have, organizations that support things for women's rights. I think that there should be others that also talk about men's as well, because I think when you have different perspectives on different sides of the coin, it's very important that each side can be represented, no matter how much one disagrees or doesn't understand the other. But I think, like, just as you brought up that there's women that are not privileged to even have that option, right? Like, that's new news to me. I thought no matter, right? Like, because there's cases where young women are sexually abused and they become pregnant, but then they stop the pregnancy because of the term, right? Like what had happened.
But it's not like.
So you're saying before 16 they can't have that happen? Because there's a lot of.
No, even after, like in Texas, for example, somebody fact checked me. Somebody in the comments go fact check me. But I believe in Texas, like even if you are assaulted, if you become pregnant off of it, you can't get an abortion.
Yeah.
Which it's not this person's choice. Anyway.
So just so you know as well, let me just conclude right here, because people who have not seen the video are probably like, what is going on?
Yeah.
Just to conclude, what I was saying in the video is that, like, let's do it from a moral perspective and not a legal perspective, because in this country, at the point of conception, like,
but who's moral?
The man has no option. And if the child is born, then you have to do everything in your power to be in that young child's life. So that's what I was saying in the video, but at the same time, I was trying to take the legal, what happened, and then, talk about just from that the man doesn't have the right to choose. When I've had men in my life that wanted to have the baby, but she chose not to, and it was her choice. But at the same time, there's probably other facts that you can call out on the other side of the coin, where the man has, decision rights, but then the woman does not. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Like,
tons of things.
so, which is, I think, is the purpose of the conversation. Shout out everybody that's coming out to the building. I think I saw some quick super chats. Shout out to Dead Yet Alive, fluids that are inherently viscous in nature. Dead Yet Alive always coming through with the SAT words. Shout out, my G. Shout out to the voice of reason. Thank you so much for the $5 super chat. It takes two to make a baby. Now, as a man, I believe that the woman should make their own decisions. No wedding, no womb. Shout out to the voice of reason. I appreciate the $5 super chat. Listen, other dope content this week. Divorcing my husband because I make more money than him. Shout out to Graham Stephan.
Awful.
Yeah, it was an awful video. It was so ridiculous. It was just so ridiculous. Shout out to the roommates and AMS. If you get married, you're a fool. 14,000 views. Listen, we put up numbers this week. Then I had some re-uploads. I never count the re-uploads.
Yo, I have an idea.
I never count the re-uploads in my analytics, but they're still here. What's your idea?
So you're like 2,000 subscribers away from 24,000, right?
Yeah.
I think you should do a 24-hour live stream if you get 24,000.
Don't listen to her. Anyway, shout out. She said, I would be all in your pockets. This was the banger from, I think, Monday or Tuesday. 28,000 views. We doing numbers over here. All right? But we're here today. Shout out to everybody. Listen, we're 15 minutes in. Mm-hmm. The intro was much longer than expected, but we're going to get active.
Sorry,
right
I
now.
made it long. It's my fault.
We're going to get active right now. Anything to say before we get started, or anything else you want the folks to know about you before we get active? You have a unique background.
That's true. For people who don't know me yet, because I've been here like, what, 4 videos now?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe 5? Something like that.
Mm-hmm.
I am friends with MTR, clearly. I enjoy the Red Cup talk. I bring the diverse perspectives. You're
a Canuck.
Yeah, I don the maple leaf. The proud maple leaf.
She's a Canucker. Anyway, let's get it popping. Let's get it started. I think I saw one more super chat, and then we're going to get active. Voice of reason, but we should not be forced to take care of a child if we don't want to, which I know sounds morally repulsive. Shout out to Voice of Reason for the $5 super chat.
Oh, there we go, Mr. O. In Texas, it's illegal after 22 weeks.
I think that it's one of those things that, like, we know what happens, which is man doesn't have option, and the thing is like, if it goes to child is born, well then at that point that is your seed. You gotta do everything to your best ability. I just think that
a lot of dudes don't do that, right?
There's women that don't do that as well.
Yes, that too.
And there's women who do it because they wanted a relationship.
That's awful. Don't do that.
So I think that there's nefarious people on both sides of the coin, male or female.
Don't use children to trap people in a relationship. It's a very bad idea.
Yeah. Shout out to Voice of Reason. I appreciate
All
the $5 super chat.
Shall we move on to the main topic?
Anyway, let's get it popping. All right. Enough of the.
I always got it popping.
Listen, I put up a post, community chat post not too long ago. Mm-hmm. Some people, stop paying for other people's shit, I said. Okay. You are not under contract with them. Simple. All right. Shout out to my Instagram at Mediocre Tutorials and Reviews. It's long, but you know how to spell. Link down in the description box down below. Here was the meme. Mm-hmm. Okay. Let's get serious on them. All right.
Very serious.
Are you here? Let's get serious on them.
Very serious.
Let's give them some information.
I am the most seriousest.
Okay. Until I put a ring on your finger, your financial burden remains entirely your responsibility. All right. Now listen. I read this first line, and I said to myself, well, everything before the comma, I don't really identify with, okay? But, however, everything after the comma, Well, can they see this? Let's make it a little bit bigger.
Yeah. Let's zoom in. I feel like the couple image isn't like really relevant.
I think everything after the comma, I don't think I can zoom in past that. Everything after the comma, your financial burden remains entirely your responsibility, not mine. Now, when you read that first half, just up to that point, how do you feel about just that particular component? Because you already know I can go in on it.
Yeah. The until I put a ring on your finger part. I feel like why, like I think where he says until I put a ring on your finger, he's implying a little that if he does put a ring on this person's finger and this person accepts, that their financial burden becomes shared. And that's not always the case.
So it's not always the case,
like,
but
not all couples operate on that type of financial setup.
So not all, but the majority of couples, typically when they get married, when they sign that contract and they file taxes jointly, usually they combine income into some form of matter. Like it could be the man, or sometimes I see the woman, just depending upon their financial due diligence and acumen, will take full accountability of what happens in the bank account and what they can spend money on. I've also seen that they have a joint account, and then they have two separate accounts. They do whatever they want on two separate accounts.
I actually don't know, like I haven't seen the data on what financial setups are most common. Granted, I think most people aren't very financially savvy either, and so it might kind of be messy in terms of finding out what system people use. So, for example, the last one that you just mentioned, having two separate accounts and then having one joint account where you just like dump all the expenses in. Yeah. Like that's one way to do it. There's the way of, let's just pool literally everything into a joint account and all of the expenses come out of that. And then there's maybe one of you makes more than the other, and so there's kind of like the proportioning of it. Or maybe one doesn't work because they have to do like childcare things. And that's, usually not quite valued the same way, but is worth something.
Okay. So a lot of people have a lot of different options, but what you were saying is that...
Actually, you guys should let us know what you guys do, if anybody has had different setups. I feel like that'd be interesting to learn.
Yeah, most people in here are not married.
Yeah, but you've been in relationships.
Listen,
I've never been in one, so I wouldn't know.
If there's folks that are down in here that are paying, let me not even give my opinion on it up until later. Okay. Now, when I read this completely differently. Okay. I didn't imply anything off of what he's saying besides what he's saying. Okay. Which is, until I marry you, your financial burden remains entirely your responsibility, not mine. So to me, this is I understand what you're saying that he's implying, but all I read in this is you can't count on me for your financial responsibilities. You can't burden me with your financial responsibilities until we decide to elope. That's it. But he's not then, in my opinion, at this point, he's not then saying that at the point that we elope, I'm taking them over. Yeah. To me, he's not saying that, but I think that you thought that he implied that.
Yeah, he sounded like he was implying it. The second thing that kind of made me feel curious was the fact that he had to say that. Like, doesn't it go without saying that your own your own financial burdens are your own financial burdens? Like, I'm not dating somebody. I don't know anybody who's dated somebody to like pay their rent, for example, or like. Well,
it happens a lot. Bills. It happens a lot where dudes feel like they they're not a man until they take some of her financial responsibility away, irrespective of a ring on the finger.
Wait, hold on. Talk to me more about this. They feel like they're not. They feel like they have to?
Yeah, sometimes they get suckered into it. They get pressured into it. I did a video not long ago. It was actually uploaded this week. You guys all saw it. The chick that was talking about the hyenas and the tigers and the bears and shit. It was that video that said how to get money out of a man. You saw the title on the video.
Yeah. Also, like.
Did you see the video?
No, I didn't see the video.
Well, that's the type of human being that.
But who are these people? Like who?
She's on the video.
Like who are these people that people are dating that expect them to pay for their like dry cleaning and their like nails and their like I don't know student loans or whatever it is. I don't get it.
I don't.
Like, I
don't
literally
get
don't
it
know
either.
anybody like this.
Listen, and I don't want to know anybody like that.
Same, but like, I don't know. Is it that my social circle is too small, or like?
I think that there's just people. So there's human beings that exist that. Listen. So let me bring it back a quick step. Are you familiar with the term hypergamy?
I feel like you explained this to me last time, and I'm kind of slow, so I forgot.
Hypergamy is, you could think of it as the evolutionary instinct for a person to date up.
Okay. What is up?
From a financial perspective, from a status perspective, from a power perspective. Typically, this evolutionary capability is generally have been passed down from generation to generation to women.
Okay.
Typically,
yeah, because they couldn't work and stuff. Okay, fine, get it.
Typically, men don't have this hypergamist instinct from an evolutionary perspective. Typically, men date across and down.
Yeah, because they didn't
hierarchies
have to, in a way.
Right.
Right.
So,
like it wasn't their way of achieving social mobility.
And from a
it
traditional
was.
perspective, men are the producers.
Yeah.
Women are the reproducers.
Okay.
Meaning, men go out, they work 80, 90 hours per week, handle the bullshit, and then come back home. And then his woman is handling the house, the kids.
Yeah, that's
nurturing,
and
then helping him give peace when he comes back into the household, so that he can be re-energized to go back out into the
Sounds
to the
like
workforce.
some kind of utopia, but okay.
Hey, hold up, it's not like a utopia.
Like, it sounds like some kind of like utopian world that doesn't exist.
Yeah. It used to be, it used to exist to a degree, but I don't know. Humans are humans, because what also happens too is that like, if the man, so like if you do that not in a marriage, what can happen is that after she gives you a certain amount of time of her beauty, of her nurturing, the dude can just leave. Right?
Yes.
100%. Like he gets 50 years old, he's still,
yeah.
and he has gained in power, he has gained in rank, he has gained in masculinity.
We call this, social capital.
So if he can do all of that, then he can go and get himself still a 25-year-old, and he could do his goddamn thing.
Yeah, you can trade in for a newer model.
Okay. So you're familiar with hypergamy.
Okay, got it.
So the idea is that a woman can test you.
Okay.
Can test a man of how your status is, or your power, or your financial, what you're able to give to be a giving man, to test those things. Okay. Right, like before you get married.
Is it the same term when a man marries up, or is it the same term when a man?
You can call hypergamy. Yeah, you can call it whether a man does it or a woman does it. It's called hypogamy if you date down, if you marry down.
Okay.
So.
Okay, that's a very like.
I mean,
uncomfortable way to look at people.
Yeah, well, so but this is not me who made it up.
I understand.
Evolutionary psychologists that have.
I understand. It's a very uncomfortable way to look at people, because you're measuring people based off of how much money they make. You're measuring them off of like tangible things, as opposed to like, oh, how hard they work, or like how kind they are, or like what contributions they make to their community, etc. Which often, like, it doesn't measure character. And, like, that's kind of important when you're selecting a mate.
You say character is important?
Yes.
I think character is important for people who are happy financially where they're at.
Okay.
I think people that look at, or judge their lives by famous people, that look at their, $50,000 maybe that they make per year, which is, average, is median in America, which is normal in America. But then they compare themselves to all this other shit. So then they might say, well, I feel like I've worked hard in my life, so I deserve those things, but I don't see it in my future. Therefore, I'm willing to forego this good character man in lieu of a faster life, or right, like, or someone that has more money, power, and status
Sure.
to right, like, because from a woman's perspective, like, right, you're looking for probably the best financial outlook in order to provide the best chamber to raise your children in.
That's a short-term way to look at it from a financial perspective, though, right? Like,
Talk to me.
if you're using kind of financial outlook as your measure, then if you're looking for immediate financial gains, then that's all you're going to get is immediate financial gains. If you're a long-term investor, to use the same analogy, I think character will become your index funds, if you will, because just because he has money today does not mean he will have money tomorrow. I've personally experienced how quickly your world can turn upside down financially.
Well, that's what I try to tell men on this channel is, like, never to leave with your dollars, and find someone with a much more whole mindset that is not just looking at that aspect of you. Because, like, the term gold digger, you heard about the term gold digger?
I have heard the term gold digger.
So you're familiar
Yes.
with everything I'm talking about?
Yes.
Okay.
It's very short-term thinking, because what happens when, like, you lose everything?
Yeah.
You want to be able to build it all back up with another person, right? Like, you want that person to be someone you can rebuild an empire with, or your portfolio or your life.
Are you looking for love, Lynn?
Yeah, I am.
Oh.
One day.
Oh.
But also, I want to meet somebody I can build an empire with. They may not be the same person.
So let's just take it down to the numbers real quick. Okay. Let's say you met someone with good character, but he made $32,000 per year, and he's 35 years old.
Okay. What's his dream? Does he have a dream?
Does
he have a viable dream?
I don't know what his dream is. He just
Does he have a passion? Like, I guess that's my other thing is I totally agree. Don't lead with money, and don't lead with your business foot when you're dating. A, because it makes you boring, and B,
let's just say this.
You don't want to be attracting.
Let's say he's passionate about. Let's say he's passionate about teaching children.
Okay.
But the public school district that he lives in has him working 60 hours per week.
Yeah.
But he loves children. Right, like, he loves children. They give him shit. He comes back home stressed all the time.
Yeah.
But you can tell that he's a good, kind-hearted human being, and he treats you well. But he lives within his means, incredibly in his means,
which is great.
Which means you can't get full data on your smartphone plan. Which means that means you gotta.
Excuse me.
She said
I can get full data on my cell phone
because of you.
Because I can pay for that shit.
Okay. Well, so
wait, can I say that?
Yeah. You can say that.
Am I gonna get us demonetized for cussing? I'm sorry.
But I think that it's important to hone in on when you start to quantify good man that you might be interested in.
Yeah.
But also does not have the money to support you at all. So like when you think about, so you would be dating down because you make significantly more money than $32,000 a year.
I've done that several times.
So you dated them.
Yes.
What happened after?
I've dated down and up and
so you've done
across.
So do you have a framework when you choose people to date? Like are you right? Like do you have like a
process?
Like, so you have a type probably from an attraction perspective, but do you have like minimum requirements?
Yeah, I mean, I prefer if they know how to spell. Like, that's pretty important. And I know it sounds like a dumb thing to say, but if I'm texting you, I need to be able to hold an intelligent conversation. They need to have hobbies and things that they need to be interesting people.
You know what's hilarious about that? Like when you said that, I'm like, that's so basic. But like I know people who, like when you text them or when you try to communicate with them, it's just like, what are you even talking about? You know what I'm saying? So you have a communication thing. What else?
Communication.
So there's not a money barrier.
No, because I make my own money.
So
however, I would like it if they're not dumb with their money.
But
so when I say dumb with their money, I mean don't just be spending to spend. And I hate it when they use money to when they flash money, and I say money, not wealth, when they flash money in order to try and impress, because I think it's a little crass, but also B, it usually signifies that they have very low self-esteem, that they're trying to like hide something.
I'm going to get back into that in a quick second, and we're going to get right back into it.
Yeah,
Let me
we
just
gotta call
address
this
some
out.
of the super chats. Shout out to Boogie
Okay.
Talks. Appreciate the $5 super chat. You want to read this one?
So Boogie Talk says, thank you for the $5 super chat. What's up? Hypergamy is subconscious. A woman can't help the fact that she wants a man who has more resources, status, power to provide for her offsprings.
Offspeings. But he means offsprings.
He means offspring.
What do you think about that? Because it sounds like you think differently than that.
Yeah, I mean, maybe that's why I'm like 31 and single, but I mean, I've run the gamut, right? Up, down, across, and...
Let me ask you a question.
Yeah, tell me.
Do you think your success
Uh-huh.
plagues your dating relationships?
Science says yes. And that's partially why I don't really like to talk about my work, even though I'm very proud of my work and I'm very proud of all the things that I've accomplished.
Mm-hmm.
I don't always want to talk about it because sometimes I can sense that the other person
Feels the type of way.
feels a certain type of way about it. But at the same time, over the past couple of years, I've learned that no. You should still be able to talk about it and be proud about it and be proud of what you've done and who you are, because that's their problem. That's not my problem. It's their problem that they may feel insecure about it. Now, of course, like, I'm not saying talk about it in a way that makes other people feel bad, but be proud of what you've done and who you are. But I think it certainly does, from a science perspective, it does hinder you, as a woman.
You know why it does?
What?
Hypergamy and hypogamy.
Yeah.
Because men typically try to date across what they see to the left and the right and down, and women try to typically. So if you go against that, but you're talking about work accolades that are better than his,
Yeah, but even
then
if
he
I'm
might
dating
deselect.
up, even when I'm dating up, like,
You think it still makes them feel some type of way when you date up?
100%.
Really?
Yeah, it really depends on how self-confident they are and where their self-esteem lies.
Okay. I've never heard that before.
Yeah.
I would think that dudes that are making $1 million a year don't care about a young lady making, six figures, low six figures, or that they do care, but they necessarily don't hold it against them if they start talking about, the things that they've accomplished. No, but at the same time, what I think, like, a man can talk about his accomplishments in a humble way.
Yes.
That can raise his attractiveness.
Yes.
And I think it's much more difficult for a woman to talk about her accomplishments that will raise. I think it sets respect, it sets boundaries, but that will raise her attractiveness to a man. Does that make sense?
Yeah, because a lot of times when women are assertive or talk about her accomplishments, we're actually described as boastful. We're described as...
How do you feel about that?
Oh my God, there's like a whole ton of studies about this, and it doesn't feel that great, because sometimes it makes me feel like, oh, do I have to dim my light in order to... in order to be seen in a positive light.
Yeah.
But I don't want to have to dim my light, because I've done it. Girls do it all the time, right? Like, women who are iBankers will go to the bar and say, oh, I'm a
Can
day
you say
trader.
they may not know what an iBanker is? Investment bankers.
Yeah, like women who are investment bankers, it's a very tough world for women to be in.
But they can make $200,000, $300,000, $400,000 a year.
Easy.
Easy.
Well, it's not easy for them, but
80, 90 hours per week. But
exactly, it's a ton of work. You kind of give up, having a social life, all that kind of stuff. But you go to the bar and you end up lying and saying, "Oh, I'm a day trader," you say, "Oh, I work in finance."
Yeah.
Instead of
private equity.
Yeah.
Right.
Instead of saying I work in PE.
Ross, 54. Thank you so much for the $5 donation.
Thank you.
Rudy, thank you so much for the $5. That's a pound, right?
No, that's 10 euros.
That's a euro, yeah, because it's an E.
Yeah.
God, keep
Those are
messing
10
that
euros.
shit up.
Shout out to Europe.
Shout out to Europe, Rudy. I appreciate you.
Shout out to
My
Europe.
G.
People can travel in Europe right now.
All right. Okay. can I bring it back to the example? And we're gonna go back down.
Yeah, we
into
gotta
the,
go back to this guy.
No. I'm gonna ask you another question.
Okay, tell me.
Hopefully you don't feel pressured, but I gotta do what I gotta do, and you gotta do what you gotta do.
Over here.
All right, so let's say
Okay.
let's just make up hypothetical numbers. Okay.
Okay.
You make $100,000 per year. He makes $32,000 per year.
Okay.
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 You're interested in this guy.
Okay.
You're thinking about the long-term viability.
Okay.
Now think about what he's able to do, right? Like the ring that he can afford, the wedding that he can afford, right? Like put some money down up on.
Sure.
You are the breadwinner. You are the major contributor from a financial perspective to the relationship.
Sure.
I think that a man that is not able to be a financial provider doesn't allow a space to continue a masculine and feminine relationship.
Okay.
Often, and this is also culture involved as well. I think a lot of dudes feel like if they cannot be the provider, right, and give, then they are emasculated to a degree, and it could be aligned to societal
it's a lot of cultural things thrown in
norms,
there.
Stuff like that. But anyway, taking it and trying to quantify what I'm saying, you make 100, he makes 32.
Okay. Why 32 specifically? Like you could have said 30, but you were like, nah, 32.
32. Let's say. Okay. But he's a good person.
Okay.
How do you feel about him?
I mean, I've been in situations where I was in something very similar, except instead of 32, it was 0.
Okay.
And I wanted to make that person my long-term partner. And they weren't into it. So I've been in those situations before.
Okay, so you're willing to be the breadwinner.
Mm-hmm. I know many women who are breadwinners, and I've grown up around
by 3 times.
Mm-hmm. Again, 0 and 6 figures.
Okay. Listen, that's your answer, guys. Okay.
But I think the big thing was also that I saw potential in him.
Okay.
Because that 0 was only going to be 0 for a couple of years. Now, it was also going to be, like, in the red by 6 figures for, thank you, Red Sings the Blues.
Keep it up. Thank you, bro. Appreciate the $5 super chat. Shundarian, appreciate the $5 super chat. What up, MTR and Lynn? Showing love before I take my ass to bed for a 3 a.m. grind. Shout out, my G. Man, Patreon gang, holding hard. It down. Shout out, Shundarian. I appreciate you. As always, my G. All right, let me make sure I didn't miss. Not real quick. Oh, no, we good. We are way at the bottom. Okay. So anyway, you were saying.
But I saw potential in him.
Yeah. Where
I saw that we could potentially build a life together. We had a lot of the same interests, similar values. So it would have been a very long, hard road because it would have been 0 on the other end for several years, and then like negative 6-figure net worth for many years after that on the other person's end.
Did he have loans? Wow. So you was ready to go in. So like, you don't think that okay, so it didn't materialize for one reason or another.
Yeah, I think there were several factors.
Do you think one of the main factors, and then this will be my last question, we'll get back into that, is the dynamic between how much you could provide versus how much he could provide?
Like, if I think that was a driving factor as to why it didn't work. Yeah. I think it was one of the factors. I don't think it was the main driving factor.
It wasn't the main driver.
No.
I've had women come up here and said that they've had people in their family told them that they are, they've earned themselves a degree, but have disqualified themselves from a man.
I can understand where they get that from. I actually read a study about this recently.
Yeah.
It said that as women gain kind of degrees, so the more degrees you have, the less you're worth on the marriage market, which is kind of shitty because sometimes those credentials give you access and opportunity to greater financial opportunities for you as an individual.
You know what's also correlated with degrees?
What?
Age. So that's a factor as well. I think as you get older, you're more correlated with having more degrees as well. So I think
not always, but yeah.
Not, but it's correlated.
Yes.
Yeah. It's not always, but it's correlated.
I also think that, I mean, you bring up a good point here. I mentioned the word social capital earlier.
Mm-hmm.
Men's social capital is finances, and I can see why you guys love to flash it.
Because it gets us more and better and more juicier viscosity.
Yeah, it's also super unattractive.
Depends how you do it.
Yeah, true. Depends how you do it. But the majority of, I would say like 95% of people do it very poorly.
I don't do it at all.
Which is great. Don't do it. Just don't do it.
I don't do it at all.
Just don't do it.
I don't give a shit.
Don't do it, because there's other things about you that are more interesting than how much money you make.
I don't think a lot of people believe me when I say shit like that. Can you give me some? What's up?
Also, income and wealth are not the same thing.
Oh, they're very different.
Yeah, very different.
Shout out to my wealth stream, by the way. For those of you that caught it, I left it up for a little bit longer than what I normally do because I saw that there was active participation in the comments. I saw a lot of people getting value out of it as well. But typically, my wealth streams will be for my Patreon supporters specifically. When I say that, one of the things we have planned, I'm going through someone's budget on my Patreon. I want to do that for my Patreon supporters. I've also put $10,000 recently in my Webull account, which is a fee-free stock trading account. Link down in the description box down below. If you want 2 goddamn free stocks, now's the perfect time to get into the market.
Blue chip? Blue chip?
Say what?
Blue chip stock?
I don't know yet. I gotta pick it.
Okay.
I gotta pick it. I gotta pick it, Lynn. I gotta pick it. Okay. But anyway, I wanna show you guys a video of live stream of me actually buying stocks. You know, you see what I'm saying? There's a lot of folks that will tell you to be high value. I want to show you how to be high value. That's the difference on this channel. You understand what I'm saying? So hopefully, of those that are picking up on that message that joined for the live streams, hopefully you're understanding this. I'm trying to figure out an entire like ecosystem of resources. It's taking me a long time because, as you guys know, I got a full-time job and shit. but I'm slowly trying to figure it all out. However, you can still come and join us to the community, and conversations are popping every day. Okay, popping every day. Shout out to everybody down into the description box. Listen, I can't even see where my likes are at right now.
Oh, hold on. I didn't finish that thought.
Wait, hold on. Let me just say this real quick, and then let's go back to your thought. Shout out to the Blackest Night. I see you. Thank you. Yeah, it's up to $1,400. I think it's actually $1,200, and they might have raised it to $1,400. Shout out to the Blackest Night. I see you. Salute, my G. Also, guys, you came into the video. Throw a goddamn like on the video. I'm tired of playing with y'all. Okay? Throw a like on the video. Order. One more super chat, and then let's get to what you guys say. Shout out to Boogie Talks in the building. He's on a Patreon as well. I'm gonna link my Patreon real quick, just so that they understand. Shout out to Boogie. In 2020, a woman will not respect a man if she makes more money than him, except for Lynn, apparently. So there's exceptions to the rule, is what you're saying.
I'm surrounded by women who are breadwinners in their families.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Where they at? I need all their Instagrams.
In very loving relationships and marriages.
You see what she just did?
Marriages.
You see what she just did? And they're the breadwinners. I think it's a culture difference. Every time something goes wrong, at the back of her mind, she will always think, I make more money than him. I don't need him. So you read that. What do you think about that?
Neither of you should need each other, I think.
Ooh.
Neither of you.
Okay.
I think and maybe this is my like ideological, like perpetual single person way of viewing what relationships are like. But I feel like shouldn't you both just not need each other but want each other?
I think when Boogie talks, he's talking from the idea of hypergamy.
Like he's talking from the idea of like, oh, and I don't need this person. I can like leave and like not have to worry about my rent and stuff like that. Yes, or like my mortgage, whatever it is. And the reality is that, you know, a lot of people are, quote unquote, stuck in relationships or abusive relationships and can't leave because they have nowhere to go. They'd be homeless. Actually, during this whole pandemic time, that's come to light. I think there were a few New York Times articles about this. It's kind of sad, actually, where people are stuck in abusive relationships that they can't get out of or leave the house to escape because they are not the breadwinner. and there's nowhere else for them to go. And they also can't leave their apartment because Corona. It's really sad.
Yeah, yeah. That's some sad shit.
Sorry, that got really dark for a second.
Yeah, yeah. No, and you know, I think that we're in unprecedented times. And within unprecedented times, there's certain industries that have been ate up. Actually, but if you look at the stock market, the S&P 500 is hitting the highest that it's ever been ever.
It's going gangbusters because people are
investing in the technology, and
all at home.
And technology stocks are the top 20% of like an index fund like the S&P 500. So it's like crazy that we have certain portions of financial markets that are just blowing it out the park. But there's certain industries, restaurant, food, where they've been decimated. You know what I'm saying? I was watching a story earlier today about a food truck that went from like, 500 meals per day to like 25 meals per day, right? So it's decimating people. So it's also causing people to get closer together potentially because they now lack some type of financial something that was happening in their life. But I think also that there's people that feel held down. There's also people that are using people to get closer together because they are now without.
Okay.
So I think like it happens on both sides of the coin.
Like this way and that way.
It happens on both sides. You know what I'm saying? So I think that it's important to bring up both as well.
Well, I mean, historically, that's what marriage was for. Is home formation was really so that you could grab onto each other and survive, right?
Lynn, let me ask you a question. How do we
survive before we thrive?
How do we get more people to have your type of a mindset?
Education. Exposure to other people because like I have the unique perspective that I do because of several parts of my personal story, right? One is I don't know if you know this, but my family was very privileged. The family I was born into was like I had a silver spoon in my mouth. So I mean I still have privileges today because of what I look like and the schools I've gone to and the environment I grew up in, but also I saw what it was like to go from silver spoon today, and I was old enough to remember with that silver spoon being yanked out of my mouth and it turning into a plastic spoon. And I saw my parents have to rebuild everything together. I saw one parent go from taking on the breadwinner role to being the support role, and the other parent becoming the breadwinner. And so I've seen how those types of setups can work. It's hard. Like you still see them fight, you hear them fight, but they've continued to work through that, and they've continued to support each other in their own ways. Again, still have their own issues. Every relationship has their issues, but I've seen how that can work. I also, because I am so brazen, am unafraid to ask these types of questions. And I think because I'm like, I've never been in my own relationship, I'm naive enough that I can like ask questions to my friends who are in them. And
you've never been in your own relationship?
Yeah. We talked about this.
You've never been in a relationship?
Yeah. Like I've never had a boyfriend or a girlfriend or like a person I like. You know, in like sixth grade.
Would you consider her a girlfriend?
Like I just mean I've never had a partner that I like bring home to my mom. Or like, you know how in like sixth grade you like hold hands with somebody at like recess? And
I didn't do that shit. I was a thug.
This is my boyfriend. Yeah, I never had that. Never had that.
Get out. You've never been in a relationship?
Never been in a relationship. I've been in love. Just it was one-sided.
Are you sure it was love or lust?
I thought about that question many times. I do think it was my first love.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah. I know, it's weird because I'm gorgeous and I'm hilarious.
And you're a kind-hearted person and you're good to be around.
And I'm funny.
And you're funny. And you are considerate.
Thanks.
And I don't just say that about everybody. You know what I'm saying? You've been on here multiple times and they love you. They love your personality. I find it interesting as hell that you've not been in a relationship.
Yeah. Never been in one of those. Never had a boyfriend or girlfriend or a special friend.
Have you tried dating both?
I have. I have, because over the years you're like, oh, maybe I'm just barking up the wrong tree.
Yeah.
But no, man or woman have not met that my person who, like, it's hard to find somebody you like, and then it's hard to find somebody you like who likes you back.
Yeah.
And then it's really hard to find someone you like who likes you back, and you're both in the right time and space, and like you're ready for each other. Because I think I've had those times where, like, I liked the person and they liked me back, but then I wasn't in the right mindset to be dating them. I wasn't in the right place in my life to be dating them.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's not, it's not fair to them, right? If I'm not ready, and vice versa too, right? So that's one part of my story, right? So I have this, like, naivete where I'm able to ask my friends, like, oh, so what do you guys do? Like, how do you split expenses? Like, how does that work? Because the only model I have would be my parents, right? Or, like, I've also been privileged enough where, like, my dad's sisters, a lot of them either stayed single or they chose very carefully and didn't actually marry until much later in life. And so very, like, strong, independent, career-oriented women. And then on my mom's side, like, a lot of very strong family-oriented women who did form families very quickly and stayed in those family ties. But a lot of them were also very entrepreneurial women at the same. So they were, like, women entrepreneurs who, like, had, like, families as well. So I've seen all sorts of models, and, like, a lot of my girlfriends too, like, they're in great marriages, and, like, they're the breadwinners.
Let me just pause just real quick.
Yeah.
There's a lot of this that I did know about you, but is reminding me, like, the whole relationship shit. Now that we're talking about it, now I remember. I hadn't thought about it since the last time that we talked about it. Also, I think I was drinking the last time we talked about it.
I feel like we were several.
We were several in. Now, there's a couple of things that you just said right here that I wanted to bring up just real quick.
Okay.
Number one, there's a lot of people that's down into the chat. I've been trying to read some of the chats.
Okay.
Normally, I look over here and I can see the chats as you talk, and it doesn't look so awkward. So I got to look over here to see what's going on. A lot of people are like, yo, I don't understand, right, like, how she has this mindset. And we learned a couple of interesting things about you. Number one, you were born with a silver spoon.
Yes.
But the silver spoon got taken away.
Yeah.
And I talk about this on my channel in a lot of different ways, a bunch of different times, that a lot of this, like, hood booger try to get money out, right, from a gold digging perspective. It's from people that have not experienced money. They haven't. So they think that that's the light at the end of the tunnel.
It's not.
Or all their problems will be solved when I've told you guys this time and time and time again. I don't know any other content creator that talks about it the way that I do. I've come from I wouldn't say I wasn't in poverty, but, like, I was raised in a single, because there's a lot of people that are raised in poverty, single parent household, and my dad was a teacher, school teacher, a music school teacher, right? So, like, and we were living in New York, right? Public school music school teacher, right? So, but we were living in New York. You see what I'm saying? So, like, I've never had the feeling of where's dinner going to come from. So that's what I'm saying. I didn't come from poverty, and maybe it's just my dad's way of making sure that I never felt that type of pressure. But I think, like, going from that to having, and I was a Payless kid. I was, right, like, so going from that to eventually not being in debt, making good income, being able to provide for myself, right? Like, and giving my dad, like, Christmas time, I give my dad's gifts that I would never even buy myself. You understand what I'm saying? So, like, it's thank you, and I appreciate that.
Yeah, that's awesome. Being able to provide for your parents is one of the greatest blessings.
Yeah.
And the greatest honor.
Yeah. No, it's true, because my pops, he's on a whole nother, like, level of being a father. You see what I'm saying? Like, he's incredible. But at the same time, I know that, like, he probably did things to protect me seeing certain aspects of what was going on behind scenes.
Yeah, of course they do. All parents do that.
To create normalcy.
Yeah.
So, but I've known throughout all of that.
Yeah.
That, uh, as I've gained in kind of the financial, right, like in seeing kind of that, being at the point where, right, like I walk in the stores and I'm just like, do I want it or not? Like, it's
Yeah.
not like a, can I afford it?
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I don't have, that thought hasn't crossed my mind in years.
Yeah.
It used to cross my mind all the goddamn time, but now it doesn't.
Yeah.
And I feel blessed to have that, but at the same time, I also call out that my mental health and well-being is just as shaky or rocky as it was 20 years ago.
Yeah, because
right?
it affects you a lot.
Well, anything.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just like
anything in our, like, I think young formation of life, like it, you'd be surprised how far it takes you into adulthood.
I think so. Although I've gained income, it has not taken away or alleviated problems. That's what I'm trying to hone in on. And I think like a lot of these hypergamist channels, they talk a lot about this is what you have to do to get the bag. Without the understanding, like if you look at Maslow's hierarchy of needs, are you familiar with Maslow's? You're very familiar because of what you do. But if you look at Maslow's hierarchy of needs, and now I'm talking your language, if you look at it, right, like they're appealing to a certain layer of Maslow's, which is, roof over the head, nice roof over the head, right? Like, but once you get to that portion of like being able to not walk into some place and question if you could afford it, but like, should you, right? Like, should I afford this one or the one that's better than it, right? Like once you get to that point, right, like you're on the level of like the self-actualization.
Yeah.
And once you get there, right, like there's other questions that you begin to start to ask yourself. You start to look at life differently. You start to look at the moves that you take differently. You start to look at the people that are in your life differently as far as what they're doing to add value to yourself or to your energy. You see what I'm saying? And a lot of those channels don't talk about that. And it's crazy because they're only appealing to this base level understanding.
Well, they want that now, right?
Fast.
It's not really setting them for a foundation. And I've like this has happened to me several times in my life, where like when I was a child, it happened to my parents, and so I saw them have to rebuild everything. We went from like charity galas every weekend and like fancy dresses and like 3 cars and like going out in my dad's 911 every week.
Carrera, Porsche.
I thought it was gonna be mine when I was 10, not knowing that cars get old, and that they have to be sold.
It's getting dark.
And to like literally the next day, like my mom feeling guilty about buying a 50-cent pineapple one, which is a pastry, and like seeing that, like seeing my mom like literally weep over feeling guilty over a 50-cent piece of bread, like you see that struggle and you truly see that the strength of how willing you're willing to put in the work together, like that's the real investment, because then you're able to like rebuild yourselves and like get rid of the mortgage finally and like get your kid off to school. I was also lucky in that I went to school in Canada where the education isn't quite as exorbitant as it is here, and
it's nowhere near.
And the kind of what you're able to get afterwards out of it, it's very possible to pay off all your student loans right away, which I don't recommend doing that if you're in Canada, because like you need to be building your credit history. That's probably one of the dumbest money moves I made, was trying to pay off my student loans too fast, like way too fast. The second major time something similar has happened to me was like when I was laid off. I was 24, 25 at the time. I was making 6 figures. I was living on the 38th floor of a fancy building in Toronto. It was very affordable for me at the time. I had a parking spot, like I had my own place, best view of the city. It was great. And then I was laid off and
got real.
Shit got real. I moved back into my parents' basement. I remember like moving all my stuff out of my apartment because I was reaching the end of my lease anyway, and into my parents' basement, feeling like, how did I get here? Literally 24 hours ago, I was in my own place. I was looking to buy a place. I had just spoken to my realtor. I had sent him feedback on a bunch of listings he'd sent me. I'd gotten a mortgage pre-approved, and like it just felt very real. But slowly you build yourself back up again. So you have to like, and I understand that my struggles are not the same struggles as a lot of other people who like literally have had to like go hungry or have experienced physical abuse, myriad of other struggles. But this is my story because I do see a couple comments about that. So I like that helped me build emotional resilience, but it also helped me see like I don't think it was ever crossed my mind that I was gonna want to leech off of somebody, but like it.
I love the way you said that.
I didn't know how else to say it. Just came out.
It sounds like you don't agree with that. Keep going. I don't want to stop you.
But that those types of experiences solidify for me that you should always be able to take care of yourself. And I did also see some other comments about like, you know, women getting pregnant between 60 and 90K. It's really hard to raise a kid with 60 and 90K on a single parent household income. And I know
Depends on the city.
There's a ton of parents who do it with even less. Yeah, you're right. Certainly depends on the city, but you know, regardless of city, I think it's still very hard on that type of salary.
I agree.
Yeah.
But just real quick, let me bring you back to, and this is what I wanted to touch on is because, so where it might come from is that you've experienced here, you've experienced here,
Yeah.
you've experienced here,
Yeah.
you experience here, or
Yeah.
whatever it is in between.
Yeah.
So you've seen what it is to be set young, right?
Yeah.
And then maybe lose it and then strive back up to it. So you've seen all of this shit. And what I'm saying is that I have too. And through my learnings through those patches of life, is I was like, well, what were the things that really kept me happy? Yeah. Right? Like what relationships had I built? Or even what things did I own? And I started to come up to an idea that, and maybe it's just specific to my personality, but these things that I window shopped, and then walked in and then got it, like those things, I was looking at it collect dust somewhere, right? Like, or like it was a protection, right? Like I'd put it on and it would be a protection of some insecurity that I had developed over time, right? So like so what I'm saying is that my ability to be able to do those things didn't aid in my happiness. Now, when I started traveling and I started going all over the world, I'm going to these places that have real poverty. I mean, abject poverty. And I'm looking at the way that these people, right? Like, and that's the thing. I know I have international subscribers and international people that look at these videos. Shout out to y'all. I appreciate y'all wholeheartedly. We're very blessed in America. And I think like a lot don't understand how blessed that we are. And there are disadvantaged people at where we live at. But until I started to travel and I started to see what poverty looked like in other places, and I was like, oh.
But you also see what happiness looks like in those other places.
That's what I was about to get to.
Yeah.
Because, when you see happiness,
it's joy.
To know that there's joy without wealth, it blew my mind. It blew my and it made my issues and the things that I considered issues at a point in my life, it seemed so insignificant. Yeah. I'm just like, wait a minute. Yeah. I'm in the matrix. I'm in the American consumerism matrix. I am caught. I'm caught. Let me get out of it. Let me get out of it.
Free yourself.
Let me get out of it. So that's why I wanted to touch on that real quick, because as you were talking, I was seeing the peaks and the valleys, and you experience these different things, and it sounds like at the end of it, you learn something about yourself to inform your decisions moving forward.
Yeah, I don't know if it was ever like, it was never conscious. It just like that's just how it's shaped.
Yeah.
But I think the key point here is exposure, right? To get back to the how do we create more women or more people in general with this type of mindset? Because I don't think it's only women who are trying to find social mobility through fast wealth or fast ways of increasing their lifestyle.
That's true.
Per se.
It's men and women
Right?
scammers.
Yeah.
Shout out to Boogie Talks. MTR, you always been looking for a Blue Lobster. Might be right next to you. Wow! Regardless, sign the prenup.
Always sign the prenup.
Always sign the
Always.
prenup. Congrats, bro. You made it. Laughing my ass off, Boogie. Always popping jokes.
So funny.
Shout out to Boogie's on the
Shout out
Patreon.
to Boogie.
Shout out my G Boogie. Hold on. Let's see what else. We were talking for a minute.
That was a long ass minute.
That got intense. Are we gonna do a call in today? I don't know how much time you got.
I got time. I blocked off the night for like streaming.
All right, yeah, we're gonna open up the calls, but one goddamn question. We're not doing a whole goddamn telethon here tonight. Shout out to Hex, I appreciate that. Yeah, Hex, call it if you want to. Okay. Oh, shout out to the introspective man.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, that's my man's right there. The hypergamy channels deal with deficiency needs and not growth needs.
Ooh.
He's right. Oh, I don't know when he's ever been wrong. Like, he's right. But can you speak to the deficiency versus the growth needs and the difference?
I was gonna ask you to, because I feel like I want to hear more about this.
Yeah, well, so like a growth need. So listen, when I upload a video about how to improve your financial wellness,
Yeah.
it gets 1/10 of the clicks.
That's growth.
But that's growth.
Yeah.
It gets 1/10 of the clicks.
Okay.
And maybe it's because of the sector that I'm focusing on, because people love YouTube videos of financial literacy and wellness. Look at Graham Stephan. He makes $500,000.
They're not getting it in school.
Right. But there is a deficiency. So when you talk about from a content creator's perspective, there's portions of YouTube that deal with deficiencies, and they narrow in on where you're deficient at,
Okay.
and they hang a carrot in front of you of, don't you want this?
Oh, they're negging them.
You want it? Well, no, but they do it. They don't necessarily do it in a negative way, but they say, this is where you're deficient at. This is what you don't have. But here's the information that I have to get you here.
Okay.
Right? To get you, living in a crib. Don't bring nothing to the table,
Sure.
but you just look good. Here's the things that you got to do in order to get here, because here you get money.
I see.
Right? And it's based off of, not only is it a deficiency need, but also off of a lower level of Maslow's hierarchy of needs that, like, I think doesn't allow you to properly consider things that are actually going to support you in your in your well-being going forward for true joy and happiness within your life.
Well, hold on. Let's talk about this for a minute too. I think because I realize we're a little harsh sometimes on women who are hypergamous, but also recognize we need to recognize that they have been conditioned to be that way, right? Like
The hypergamous?
Yeah, like over centuries, women were not allowed to work, or they were not able to work because of the way society was set up. So their only means of leveling up was through marriage, was through their partner, as opposed to doing it themselves.
Okay. But do you think that exists today?
I think to a certain extent it still does.
Wait, let me be specific. Do you think it exists today that a woman does not have the same opportunities as a man?
Yes.
Where do you think it shows up at?
Well, this country is where it shows up at.
No, like specifically, like any type of like layer, like is it?
So the moment she heads to school, she is basically told that her education is not as important as a boy's education. Why? Oh, you're wearing a spaghetti strap top, so you're going to distract the boys. She's being told, when you say that to a 12-year-old girl, or when you say that to an 8-year-old girl even, you're basically saying, oh, your education isn't as important as that boy's, because he's going to get distracted, as opposed to, let's not teach our 8-year-olds to be distracted by what another 8-year-old is wearing.
Wait. So just real quick. So you're saying that people say that your education is not as important because you have on a spaghetti strap top?
Yeah, they don't say that out loud, those explicit words out loud, but that's what they're implying. That's one example. Here's another example.
Can we just focus there real quick? Because that's one example that I feel like I hear you say it, but
Yeah.
I don't think that I get it.
Okay.
So bring it back to what you just said. You said that there's an idea that a young woman has.
Not young woman, young girl. Small child. 8-year-old.
Okay. That an 8-year-old wants to pursue middle school.
She wants to go to school. Mm-hmm.
But she cannot do that.
She gets sent home.
Because she has on a spaghetti strap top.
Mm-hmm. That happens today.
Okay.
All across America.
Okay. So are you saying that, and I don't know what a spaghetti strap top is, but are you saying that dress codes should not be enforced?
I'm saying dress codes that are gendered should not be enforced. That's clearly a gendered, because boys they don't make spaghetti strap tops for boys.
Well, boys generally have more clothes on.
Like I said, spaghetti strap tops aren't made for, like, they're not sold for boys. Like, it's not like a boys fashion item that you buy at Walmart.
Would you be okay if a boy wore a spaghetti strap top?
If it made him feel great and comfortable to go to school, sure.
What is a spaghetti strap top? Maybe we need to anchor there. I don't know what that is.
Oh my god. It's a tank top with a thin strap.
Like one of these that just show the back?
No, it's like, okay. So
Have you
like,
worn a spaghetti strap top and they sent you home from school?
Not me, because I went to school in many years ago. Actually, they did tell us that we weren't allowed to wear them, so I just never wore one. So they're like little thin straps like this, like a regular tank top.
Does it show your
boobs? No, it just shows your shoulders, because it's hot out.
So okay.
And like,
so if the school has a dress code and they say no spaghetti strap tops, they also say boys don't wear chancletas or whatever it is, right? So so you're saying that the spaghetti strap top is gender, it eliminates her ability to perform at school?
No, because they sent her home from school.
But if they have a dress code, don't come in with a spaghetti strap top on because
if it's 85 fucking degrees outside and there's no AC in your school, which is very common.
What's wrong with a short sleeve?
It's too hot.
Boys wear short sleeves. It's not too hot.
Too fucking hot.
I'm so confused.
Also, why are you limiting people from wearing what they want to wear?
But it doesn't sound like they're limiting her education. It sounds like that they have rules that have been made. I don't know why they made the rules. I don't even know what a spaghetti strap top looks like. But it sounds like they're just saying follow the rules, and you can come in here and learn to
But the rules are based off of distracting boys. That's what the rules are based off of, and that in essence.
Or other girls.
Generally, it's off of boys. Like,
but it could be other girls.
The reasoning is you're going to distract the boys.
Okay.
Not we're going to distract other little girls because we live in a heteronormative society, etc., etc., etc.
So at what point should a dress code be enforced?
So if you're trying to protect others, like wearing a mask, very controversial topic today as well. A lot of
like a corona mask?
Mm-hmm.
So to protect people.
Mm-hmm.
So are you saying are you protecting people by not allowing a young person to go to school in just their underwear? What protection are you giving them? There's no protection.
Like in just their underwear, you mean?
Yeah.
I don't know. I didn't think that far about it.
Well, this is the reason why we have these conversations because what you're bringing up is what I'm trying to bring up is what's the limit for what you're allowed and not allowed to do from a societal culture perspective, right? Like
I think that depends on the culture.
It does, but I don't think the culture is saying even if you do these rules and these policies, we're going to hold you back. But they have created some. So
that's one of many examples I'm about to give you, right?
Okay, but that was the first one. You're about to go to the next. But I wanted
the easiest one to bring up.
But I don't know if that was easy because it's something that I feel like people can say, but then you start to like really think about like what it is and what I'm saying. I don't.
Yeah, I think your question to me is basically like, what's the limit? Like, where does it go?
Yeah, because if you're gonna allow, whatever a spaghetti strap is, then should you also allow just underwear? And my thing is like, no, there has to be some limit.
Yeah, there's got to be something in the middle. I just don't think spaghetti strap tops are it.
All right, so it's a subjective thing that you don't think that it is it. However, my conclusion to that, I don't think that necessarily because you view that spaghetti strap tops like that, it is enabling a young girl to learn.
Okay. Yeah, I'm just trying to think of other examples on the other end where a boy gets sent home for his clothing choices.
Okay.
And I don't, and maybe it's because I haven't looked into this, but I cannot think of one. It might be anybody who went to school in the early 2000s, maybe the like super low rise pants where like you could see half his boxers.
Listen, if I go to school,
but like that's the only example.
Yeah, no, but listen, if I try to walk into a school and I got my underwear showing, right? Like, as a parent that has another child at the school, because my child would not be doing that.
Yeah.
I would look at that young boy and say, he should be sent home. He should be. I don't right like there because you know why? Allowing people, like, we live in a society that is governed by law, that's governed by rules, that's governed by policies.
Yeah.
And the thing is like, because it allows for a functioning society that does relatively well. So well that a lot of us complain still about this functioning society when you go to another society and you're like, oh, that shit is a dumpster fire. But
it depends on what your point of relation is, right? Like, I think a lot of people come from like Norway and stuff, and they'd be like, "Wow, America is a dumpster fire."
Okay, true.
Yeah,
it's very true.
And I think that was my first initial reaction when I came here too. Was, oh my god, everything they used to tell me in the media is like completely true.
So on the flip side of the coin, there's like I was a very rambunctious kid. Let's just say like I was very spirited. You know, which I think is a huge problem. Wait, just shout out to Oscar real quick. Thank you so much for the $5 super chat. Relationship problems are a symptom of our infantile culture. As kids, we're psychologically unprepared for reality, hence unrealistic expectations.
That's a good point. I think we're also not taught, given the tools on an institutional perspective, to handle some of the realities that come our way.
So real quick, I think like as a young boy, I was very rambunctious, right? So like I had a lot of energy, as what most young boys do. In 2020, they just give young boys medication. That's a whole other story. However, I can
young
be
boys and girls.
And girls, but young boys are typically way more than young girls, from what I've seen.
Okay.
From what I've seen.
Yeah.
I don't know if you agree or disagree.
Whether that's nature or nurture, I don't really know. I think it's a little bit of both.
I don't know what I mean. I'm not a scientist, but like young boys be on a whole nother. They be.
Yeah, they're also encouraged to do it. Girls are basically told, don't climb up the tree, you're gonna ruin your dress.
Okay.
Mhm. It's not ladylike.
Do you think women enforce that or men?
Both.
I would not be I would not be a parent that would do that.
Good. You'd be a great parent.
I would not be. If I end up, if I ever have kids and I end up having girls, we gonna be, she's gonna know how to throw a football, all of that shit.
Go get her throwing that football. Go get her climbing that fucking tree, because we need to raise more girls like that.
I think, so within that, what I was saying is that young boys who are rambunctious in nature may be sent home from school.
Okay.
Right, because of their rambunctious nature.
Sure.
So I was trying to give you an example of how a young boy might be sent home outside of from a clothing perspective. But at the same time, being rambunctious, you have to follow the school policies. If you're disturbing the teacher, if you're but that's not withholding him from education. That's just teaching him to follow rules and laws and obligations.
Yeah.
This dress thing is a weird thing to me because I think like there's ideas out there where you should be able to put everything out on Jump Street and not expect some type of reaction. Jump Street is like, oh Lynn. When I say Jump Street, it might be a New York term now that I think about it. When I say Jump Street, like it's like
the movie.
That's you're thinking of 21 Jump Street.
Yeah.
When I put something out on Jump Street, it's like put something out in your face.
Okay.
Like out into the open.
Okay.
Now I forgot what the fuck I was talking about.
Sorry.
God damn it.
Something about, we were limiting boys' education by sending them home because they're rambunctious. Did you get sent home for being rowdy?
I mean, I got into fights as a kid. You see what I'm saying? Oh. What I was trying to say is that
Yeah.
like, right, like to me, the example that you brought up about dress, there's dress code policies, right?
Okay.
No matter where you go into corporate America, you go into right when you go dating, right?
Sure.
Like if a dude showed up to a date with you and he had on a wife beater,
Okay.
he's not going to be rewarded with viscosity, most
Okay.
likely. Okay. So he has to feel a repercussion for him not choosing to dress appropriately.
Sure.
Whatever
sacrifice
appropriate.
hormones. Okay.
But in that situation, it's okay to judge him
Yeah.
for a wife beater, even though it's tied to a social or cultural norm.
Sure.
But what you're saying is that for this spaghetti strap stuff, and I don't know what it is, you're saying that should not be a cultural norm.
Yeah, I think maybe it's like a weird North American cultural norm. I don't know where else in the world they do that. I'm sure they do. But it's kind of one of those things where I like see it, read about it, and makes it kind of curious. So that's one of the ways. I think another way where we limit women's opportunities, because I think that's where this conversation started in the first place, is even just in hiring. And part of it has to do with the fact that many hiring managers are men, or are other women holding women back, which I think for the longest time, and perhaps still to a certain extent now, change is slow to happen.
Why do you think women hold other women back?
Because for the longest time, there could only be one quote-unquote token woman in a boardroom, if there is one. There could only be one token woman in a department. And so you're vying for one spot. Kind of like how there's only one token Asian in a certain management group or one token black guy. You end up fighting each other as opposed to helping each other and raising each other up.
So here's the thing. In the organization I work for,
Yeah.
I'm like, where the black people, bring them in.
Yeah.
My G, let's chat. Listen, this road that we got open, come on, listen, this all you need to know. You need to know A, B, C, D. So like I hear you say that, it's not my experience.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Also like, have you ever worked for a medium-sized enterprise?
No.
Okay. I've worked for very large publicly traded. I've worked for my own company. I've worked for small enterprises, and I've worked with medium-sized enterprises.
Mm-hmm.
In large publicly traded places, I've generally found it's more likely that there are other folks who you can go to and culminate with, and that's exactly what happens. They come find you and they're like, okay, let me teach you the ropes. Or you become that person where you're like, oh, hello, new person. Let me teach you the ropes. And it because there are more people, it's just more likely that there will be other folks who you can congregate with based off of whatever it is, right? Could be your could be your race, could be your ethnic background, could be nationality, could be what school you went to, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. In medium-sized and small enterprises, it's not always the case. And I think if you go back 5 years, 10 years, those situations look very different. Again, change is very, very slow to happen on a mass basis.
Shout out to the introspective male. Thank you so much, bro, for the czar. In reality, gender roles and the monolithic ideas which emanate from the previous generations are slowly being phased out for the new society. That's true more than ever before. And the rapid rate of growth with technology is forcing that. And it's also forcing singularity within it as well. Shout out to introspective male. Shout out to Eddie Premier. Thank you so much for the $5 super chat. If school is preparation for the real world, then it would make sense that the rules would do that. This is my argument. This is a red herring. Don't fall for it. Shout out to Eddie. He said you threw up a red herring, a smoke screen for me. Did you have other? So listen, Any other example? Because there was also a whole other part of this we were going to get
Oh,
into
we
as
didn't
well.
even get into that part. Okay, let's
Or you
do
just
it.
want to skip to that? Okay, yeah, let's skip to
probably
that real
should.
quick. All right, yeah, let's do that because we're already. That's what I was just pointing at, guys. I can't believe that we're already an hour and a half in. All right, so real quick, let's get into this. So we only read like the first 2 lines, and we ended up doing an hour and a half. Any help I render is from the good of my heart. It was never and isn't your right, not an obligation for me. Some women think because they look good, men owe them money. Here was the first reply to that I wanted to talk about.
Who's the main topic?
Huh?
Who's our main topic today?
Oh yeah. And a man shouldn't expect any sexual privileges to balance the scales. Okay? I wanted to talk about this. Because, again, he says, until we put a ring on your finger, your financial burden remains entirely your responsibility. Entirely. So he's talking about dating. He's talking about relationships.
Yeah.
So in response to that, talking about dating, talking about relationships, and a man shouldn't expect any sexual privileges either to balance the scales. How do you feel about that?
So let's go back up to the phrase for a quick second.
Okay.
I feel like any help I render is from the good of my heart. It's never and isn't your right and not an obligation for me. Like, that's unarguable. Like, I don't know who's entitled enough. Like, the only person I allow to feel that entitled is like my mom, like to my money. I mean, like my family, my parents, people I provide for, and am privileged enough to provide for. So that part's like, you can't even argue that. I guess the interesting part comes when, let's scroll down for a quick second. With this comment, this is like controversial. And a man shouldn't expect any sexual privileges either to balance the scales. I don't think either of you should expect financial support from each other or sexual privileges from each other at all. Like, it's always, there should be consent on both. Financial consent when you're looking at your finances perspective, and also like sexual consent from a sex perspective.
Okay.
That's my 2 cents.
So, okay. So what he's saying is that I can give you gifts, but I have the agency to provide what I want, but I have no burden on myself to provide for you.
Yeah.
What she's saying is, okay, got it.
Yeah.
But then you shouldn't expect sex because I want to balance the scales.
Yeah.
Okay. With that being said, she is saying,
it's dangerous.
Hey, listen, we got to talk about it though.
Yeah.
Because when I read this, I think to myself, oh, so you are using sex in exchange for money.
Okay. And that's why you should never expect money from the other person.
Do you agree? Go ahead.
Hold on. I see a very interesting comment here that just disappeared. Hold on. Let's go back to it. Scroll up for a quick second. There, that one.
This one?
Whole time I thought sex was enjoyable for both parties involved. Yeah, it should be.
Who said that? I didn't even see it.
I am Batman, bro.
Oh.
Like, that's also, he's right.
It's a great comment.
She is implying here that, like, oh,
it's only my tool.
Yeah. As opposed to it's a mutually
to get something out of you.
A mutually enjoyable experience, as it should be. Because if you're not enjoying it, don't do it.
Facts. I agree. When has it become normal to think that, like, number one, sex is something that's just given in exchange for something else, and
Sure.
not that both people should enjoy it.
Yeah, both of you should enjoy it, and also don't expect the other person to pay for your stuff. And if they do pay for your stuff, that's a very kind gesture.
Do you think that it's prostitution? Like the idea of prostitution in order to exchange? Cause look at Zabgate's comment. They got 315 likes.
Let's see.
So you're a prostitute? And she's saying this in direct response to
Balancing. I think balancing the scales is probably the key phrase. Yeah.
So, okay. So because she said balancing the scales, you think that it's more of an exchange, money for sex?
I don't know. That feels weird.
It feels weird.
It feels weird.
We're going off what she said, though.
Yeah. It feels weird. If we're going strictly off what she said, it feels weird. It feels weird that you're using sex as a bargaining chip as opposed to, like, there's one, like, it's one thing to say, like, hey, I'd like to wait and I don't feel like it, or these are my values, or whatever it is. Like, that's different from what I'm reading here, which is, well, I'm going to use it as a negotiation chip, which is dangerous. Because then you end up going into this, like, toxic, like, I'm imagining some, like, toxic transaction. Oh, yeah, exactly. What Margaret's saying. Like, it turns into this, like, the only word I can think of is toxic, where, because then you end up going into, like, a bidding war, in a sense, right? Of, okay, well, I'm going to hold back sex. Okay, well, I'm going to hold back, like, that person you want to buy, or I'm going to hold back your rent, or I'm going to hold back, like, that thing you like me to do. You know what I mean?
So then it becomes,
and then the whole thing
like,
just crumbles. So then it's like, why are you doing this to each other?
Yeah. So then it's like, he paid my cell phone bill this month, so I'm gonna give him such and such and such. So it just becomes completely transactional.
Pay for your own cell phone bills.
I think everybody should be paying for their own shit, and up until the point.
Don't buy it if you can't pay for it.
I mean, that's the thing, and up until the point that you guys decide to like I recently had a young lady tell me that, you know, at the point that you guys, like, people in a relationship move in, there should be, right, like, and I want your thoughts on this.
Okay.
There should be a, like, you shouldn't be splitting 50% if she moves into a guy's crib.
Okay.
And my thing is
what
like,
should they be doing?
I think that they're still roommates.
Okay.
I think they're roommates until they get married.
Okay.
So I think, like, here's the thing.
Well, even when they do get married, how you split it up? Like,
Well, I think
still expenses, right?
No, I think it changes ridiculously at the point that you get married. Let me shout out to David Nino Brown. American women want money for nothing.
Is it just American women?
I think it's just.
And is it just women? Like I
talk about it. Go ahead.
right? Like just from
Talk to him, Lynn.
The way capitalist society works is you want to do as less as possible to gain as much as
much
possible.
money.
So
Yeah.
like, doesn't matter if it's man or woman. I feel like that's just how capitalism works. That's how corporate America works.
You know what it is, though? I think men have a much more concrete, in aggregate. I'm not saying all. What I'm saying is in aggregate, a much more concrete understanding in the idea of, right, working to get something.
Okay.
We have a much more concrete idea of what that is, because
Okay.
the exchange between money and beauty is real,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Social capital.
Which means I can develop into my status,
Yeah.
but a woman essentially can't.
Yeah, because your beauty is actually our social capital is not beauty. Our social capital is our appearance of youth.
And beauty.
Well,
I think and beauty too. Because you could be youthful looking, but you look like trash.
Yeah. But then beauty is correlated with, associated with youth.
It can be. Yeah.
What we consider to be beautiful, and across cultures, across societies, is the appearance of youth. And yeah, you can't get that shit back because time don't wait for nobody. That's why you gotta use all that SK2, girls.
It doesn't. Yeah, but I think like, so before this conversation, did you have an idea of like how men are valued versus how women are valued?
So science states that men's social capital is their appearance of wealth. It's like the way they're like you know how like peacocks do that like peacock feather thing?
Yeah.
And like the bigger and like fancier their peacock feathers look, like the more attractive they are.
Mm-hmm.
I think men's peacock feathers, scientifically proven, is their appearance of wealth.
Mm.
Hence the flashy cars, hence the fancy apartments, hence the fancy timepieces, hence the Jordans. But you know, that's the appearance. You never know what's underneath the surface until you look. I think a lot of people actually also don't look underneath the surface when they're looking for when they're gold digging.
Ever. So she also replied, sex isn't as meaningless to women as it is to men.
Most men.
Most men. Women give a part of themselves, not to mention, oh God, the supposed depreciation and ridicule of a woman's value if that particular relationship doesn't lead to marriage. It's unrealistic for women to give it up for a man that can't afford to give her the least bit of chivalry. We're not saying buy cars or rent apartments, but if you came and pay for a date or do something special for Valentine's Day or her birthday, please stay single. Gotta get your reaction off of that.
Sorry, I'm reading it again. And yes, it is a Toronto Raptors jersey. Thank you. I just bought it. It's Vince Carter.
I like how here where she says sex isn't as meaning. She's assuming that sex is meaningless to men.
No, she hedged
Most
it.
men.
She said most men. She hedged it.
but she's still saying that it is as it is meaningless to most men.
Yeah. I am trying to dig into my statistics bank in my brain, and I can't think of a source I have that proves that it is or isn't. Because I do know that there's been research on this, and I only know this because I've worked in an industry that's adjacent to it, where we did do some studies on that. So I can't really comment on that first one because I know both men and women, for which it is either very meaningless or very meaningful.
Here's the thing. I think like the way that she set that up when she says it isn't as meaningless as in the way the words that she's using denotes to me that she's trying to say that for men it's meaningless. For most men it's meaningless because she's not saying sex isn't as important, right? She went to meaningless. So she's taking the negative of that and pointing it towards men as opposed to the positive of important and then pointing it towards women. So the way that she's phrasing that is that she's saying most men consider sex meaningless. And it could be the men that she messes with consider sex meaningless. Could be that.
Well, we won't know because we don't know her story, right? She did also, okay, also to her credit, she did also say as meaningless. So I think she, again, hedged her phrase is hedged.
I think women have just as much sex as men do. I think it's 50-50. There used to be this thing in our society. We used to be like, yo, sex, men think about sex every 7 seconds. All this bullshit that they would feed you on TV and shit.
Yeah. It depends how old you are, too.
I think women have just as much.
Sex drive, yes.
As men.
Yeah.
I don't think it's just...
It actually gets worse as you get older as a woman because you're losing eggs. So, like, women are...
You gotta hurry up. You gotta get it in.
Yeah, like, so biologically, you're born with a certain amount of ova, and that's where your period comes from. Sex Ed 101. And as you grow older, because you've been releasing more eggs since puberty, your body starts getting into this like hyperdrive mode of like, oh, I need to like have sex so that I can reproduce. I mean, obviously, when she's making a conscious choice, she's probably not doing that for reproduction reasons, but her body is, and so she has a high drive. She'll have a higher drive as she grows older until she hits menopause. But that's where it comes from. Whereas boys, they peak at around like 18, I think.
Yeah, I don't know. I could have peaked at 18, but I'm.
Yeah, like they'll still continue to like go strong and stuff, but like.
I don't think it has de-peaked, if that's a word.
Yeah. So let's dive into the next part. So she goes, women give a part of themselves, not to mention the supposed depreciation and ridicule. And I like that she added in the supposed part.
Look at stay at home. Taylor, is that you? Stop changing your name, Taylor. Grow up. Okay. Shout out to Taylor.
She can change her name if she wants to.
But stay at home Snickers. What the fuck does that even mean?
I don't know, but now I really want a Snickers bar.
Sex is meaningless to men when the women they are having sex with are meaningless. I think that is very true. But the same thing for women.
I think it depends on what like mindset you're in, because different people want different things from different other people.
Listen, women and this has happened to me. I've been on the receiving end of this. You go down to Vegas and it's just, you know what I mean?
Yeah, because that's what people are in Vegas for. Like, you're in a mindset.
Yeah, like, you go to another state and they act completely different. WAP, I don't remember seeing your super chat, bro, and YouTube has changed some shit. I can't go back and see super chats. Put it in caps again, and I'll read it out, my G. Put the amount, put it in caps. I did not see it. I apologize. We got into a deep discussion earlier. Okay.
Yeah.
So just put it back down in there, and I'll read it out, man. Thank you. Okay. Cool. Listen. So are you banging
I love Snickers
with?
too. Stay at home Snickers. Sorry.
She gave you the kissy face. She might.
She did give me a kissy face. Thank you.
Okay, listen. I think I'm done with this. I think I'm done with.
I
I think I'm done with this comment. I think we've listen. So let's just
we've
ask.
exhausted many topics today.
We really have. So getting back into the topic of this video, if a man shouldn't expect if he doesn't provide.
Yeah.
Here's my thing.
Okay.
Because we watched the video right before this.
Yeah.
We watched the video right before this.
We did watch a video right before this.
And we were thinking about actually reacting to the video,
Yeah.
but I just felt like it would actually probably be better if to pre-record the video and react to it. Maybe we'll do that right after this.
Yeah.
Or maybe we'll probably go over to the Discord channel right after this and
Okay.
talk about the video.
Oh, we got a Discord.
Oh, we got it. Oh, did I tell you this?
Oh, we got a Discord.
Wait, do you know what a Discord is?
Yeah, it's where you go on like gaming and stuff.
Yeah, but like I got a whole private server. It's connected to my Patreon if you guys are interested in signing up. But we're gonna have instead of doing call-ins, I'm gonna have a discussion in the Discord right after this.
Okay, cool. Yeah, people always talk about the Discord when I'm streaming hockey games.
Nah, all good, bro. Man is on the run anyway. Keep the daily content, my G. Wow, I sorry about that, my G. Listen, YouTube's fucking with me. I can't bring it up right now. YouTube would be on some bullshit. Yeah. So sorry about that, but I appreciate the support, man. I love how you keep up with your followers. Yeah. Yeah.
He loves his followers.
I really do. Listen, on my Patreon, like, dog, if you dive into the Patreon, you already know. Like,
yeah.
I had, I'm not going to call out his name, but he's recently moving to Italy. He's not into the Patreon.
Really?
Yeah. He's rooming out and he was like, today, he was like, yeah, man, it's my moving day. And I was like, what, to Italy?
Where in Italy?
Shit, he called it out before.
North, south?
No, it's not like Rome and shit. I think it's like Sicily. I think he's moving to Sicily.
Oh, very cool.
But I think he's also like in the army or military or like it's something military specific that is making him go there. I believe, if I remember correctly.
Hold on, we got a super chat.
Shout out to Alexander Patterson. Thank you so much for $5 super chat. Chris Rock said it best. Women and children can pursue unconditional love. Men are loved on the condition that they can provide. You know what something is actually on the strength of the super chat, Lynn? What I think would actually be very, very beneficial.
Yeah.
Not only from a knowledge perspective, but also from a dating perspective as you're encountering men that you want to have a relationship with.
Yeah.
I think much more of these discussions are very important.
Yeah.
Because I think like when I start to begin to talk about things from a man's perspective, they seem very new to you.
Yeah.
Agree, disagree?
Yeah.
So I think like, although you may not agree with the things that come out of my mouth, I think hearing it is important.
Yeah.
Because now you have an additional layer of
Yeah.
understanding that can help you navigate these very kind of situations. Because
Yeah.
I would think like right now there's no emotions invested into this conversation.
Sure.
But if there, let's say there was emotions invested, and I'm bringing up something like
you
the
mean
strapless,
I like somebody?
like like the strapless bra.
Yeah.
The conversation can go a lot of different other places because of the
And-
emotion that's invested. But we can have
Yeah.
a logical, rational discussion,
Yeah.
even though our opinions differ.
Yeah. Because we're also not looking at it with the back of our mind, or with the thought at the back of our mind of, is this a person I can build a life with? Is this a person I can rear children with? Every one of those types of conversations you have with a romantic prospect is like, oh my gosh, they don't believe in democracy, or oh my gosh, they don't believe in, like, you know, saving money or whatever it is. They don't believe in growth. They believe only in conservation, or they don't want to move to a different country. Lord knows.
Hey, what's up, Margaret? Quick question: is the Patreon a Discord a family-friendly space?
Female-friendly.
Female. I said family because I was about to say hell no. A female-friendly space, or is it more like a man cave? So Margaret, thanks for the question. So I've actually been trying to iterate on the Patreon as well as the Discord server. The Patreon is pretty much the same as a couple of months ago. I mean, I'm uploading a bunch of content early, and then sometimes extra content, and then people that want the highest tiers have access to like one-on-one voice chatting with me, and we do that once per month.
You get the MTR coaching.
No, you don't get that.
You don't get that.
I mean,
MTR like interactions.
Sure.
Okay.
So, but anyway, but on the Discord server, what I've done is, if you're not familiar with Discord, it's essentially like a private place to chat amongst the community. Now, on my Patreon, there are 98% men, right? On the Discord server, there's one lady, there's one woman on the Discord server that be down up in there. But besides that, on the Patreon, there's maybe 2 others that support, but it's mostly men. So in my Discord server, I actually have it split out between the co-ed channels and the male channels and the female channels. So in the co-ed channel, everyone can talk in that channel. However, the most amount of communications right now is in the male channel. But then I have all these other channels such as fitness, gaming, anime that are all co-ed type channels. But I wanted to make sure that there was still a male space and a female space. But if you came into the female space, the co-ed space, and brought up a topic, the male, they would probably all go up to that channel and begin to start to communicate. I mean, it just depends how it is. So hopefully I answered your question. Did I answer your question? Did you have a question?
I don't think so.
Oh, my bad. I was trying to.
Yeah, no, we were talking about the Discords.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. So, yeah. Margaret used to be on the Discord. She did, and then she felt like it was too man up there. It's all good.
I can understand that.
Yeah, I can understand
the old
it as
boys
well.
club,
Yes, I can understand
but
it
like
as well.
virtual.
I think. Oh, it looks like Chris is down in there. There's a co-ed section. Yeah. I should have just let Chris answer that. Chris be down in there.
Uncle Chris.
My bad.
So show some respect, man.
You right. Oh man, I'd be so disrespectful. All right, guys. So listen, we've been going for almost 2 hours.
Yeah. See, I like how when you started, you were like, "Yeah, it's gonna be a short one today. Like, we're just gonna chill."
2 hours is short for here.
Yeah, that's true.
Listen, we were gonna do call-ins. Instead, we're gonna go on a Discord. Okay. We're going to Discord. We're going to finish this conversation. We're going to give you guys the behind the scenes. We're going to give you kind of what we were thinking as we was doing this.
Yeah.
Graham.
We were talking about that other video we watched.
Yeah, we might want to do that. Real quick, Graham, I don't know. Listen, the Discord, think of Discord as like Microsoft Teams. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Microsoft Teams. Discord is awesome. You can get in video chats down in there. You can get in, there's a whole bunch of text channels to be able to talk about all these different things. Just watch a quick 2-minute clip about Discord, and it'll tell you everything that you need to know. That clip is on my Patreon. I linked it down into my Patreon, okay? So shout out, Graham. Get on there, okay? Also, too, if you guys want to be involved in the Discord, right now that's at one of my lowest tiers, the $5 tier. So feel free to get onto the Discord from that tier. I can't guarantee how much longer I'm going to keep that tier open to be accessible via the Discord, okay? Now, again, you have direct messaging capabilities. So like you could theoretically send me a message in the middle of the week. You theoretically, you know what I'm saying? But I'm busy during the week, so I'm not sure when I'll be able to answer
He's
you.
out here hustling.
But it is what it is. All right. Anything else to say before we get out of here?
It's always fun to do a live stream.
It's a lot of fun to do a live
This is
stream.
so much fun because we're just like shooting the shit and talking.
We're just shooting shit.
Yeah, and you guys are hilarious.
Absolutely. Guys, I think I'm going to be live streaming tomorrow as well. So set your clocks to about 8 p.m. Eastern tomorrow as well. If everything goes all right, you guys are going to love the discussion. You guys are going to love the discussion. That's all I'm going to say. That's all I'm going to say. Okay? A man shouldn't expect viscosity if he doesn't provide.
Neither of you should expect anything from each other.
It's one of the
Get your own bag.
It's one of the failures of man is accepting or
Get your own
expecting shit from people. But at the same time, sometimes
Crack your own oyster.
I am owed the viscosity.
Oh, we got a shout out.
Random question. Can Lynn tell us where girls like her are for girls that he can find her? I read that incorrectly, but you got it.
Wait, hold on. I'm ESL. Read that into me again.
Random question. Can Lynn tell us where girls like her are so guys looking for girls like her can find her?
Great question. Here's what you're going to do. You're going to go out, stop looking for them, go do things that, interest you. Go have some
That's
hobbies.
what I be saying all day.
Go have some hobbies. Do some things you like.
Dog, I talk about this all the time.
And
Keep
that's
talking.
when you'll start having all this great energy because you become a more interesting person. Just keep yourself always learning. Keep your learning curves super, super steep. Go out there, be social. Go do things.
I say this all day.
Yeah, go do things.
How many times you been on a date with somebody and you looking across and you're just you're boring.
That literally happened to me last week. We went out. I went on this date with this dude. I asked him point blank, what do you do in your free time? What do you enjoy doing?
You know what?
Hobbies?
You know what?
He had nothing.
Talk about your date in the Discord. We after party in the Discord.
Ooh, after party in the Discord.
After party in the
Wait,
Discord.
don't forget to sign up for the Patreon.
Yeah, guys, sign up on the Patreon. I'll put a link down up in here. Feel free to sign up. It's okay if you don't. We got the family down in there anyway. For folks that are on my Patreon that haven't hooked up the Discord, why? Okay, hook up the Discord. You can't do it on your mobile device going through your computer. Go to benefits, hook it up, join us in the conversations. Okay, join us in the conversations. We're going down there right now. All right. Until next time, YouTube.
My bicep's smaller than yours.
You're a lady. It's expected. Until next time, YouTube. Peace! Come to the Discord, you savages. Let's get